Hello, my beautiful people. It is I, it is her, it is she, it is Coach. And thank you for tuning in to Coach TV, where I talk to you about everything healthy, motivational, mindset, and I teach you how to level up your life so you can be productive and purposeful and intentional every single step of the way. So today I just want to talk to you guys about veganism because as you know, I am a true full-fledged vegan. I've been vegan now for about a year and some change. And I really want to talk to you about why I chose veganism and what it has done for me. And I will take you back to the beginning of how things started for me and why I went into the direction that I did. So first of all, I was not always vegan. Let me start there, okay? There were times where I ate chicken, I ate turkey, I ate a lot of cheese, pizza. I mean, you named it, I was eating it because I like to eat. That was the thing. I love to eat. But I wasn't really honing in on the foods that I was eating. I was more so just eating because I could and I could afford to eat and I just wanted it, and whatever I wanted, I just ate. And it had a lot to do with previous relationships. It had a lot to do with me never wanting to eat certain things because I had to stay a certain way. I had to be a certain size. I had to do certain things. And that was really a mental situation for me. But what I've learned is that veganism, and not just veganism in itself, because let me make this record clear, okay? There are healthy vegans, there are unhealthy vegans, there are fat vegans, there are and when I say fat, it doesn't mean as in like the body structure. I'm talking about people who love to eat a lot of fried foods that are still plant-based, but because of the texture and how they're making the meals, it is really still not a healthy form of eating. And so the reason that veganism is so strong in my heart is because I know what I'm giving my body and I know what I want to do for my health. And when I talk about veganism, it's really a personal decision. It is something that you have to decide on if this is what you want to do and if this is for you and if this is going to help you. For me, it was more so I had a lot of issues going on, and I'm going to start with the first issue, which was I had a lot of dizziness. And when I went to the doctor, they would always tell me I had vertigo. And I would hear people always talk about I had vertigo, and my doctor gave me medication, and sometimes it goes away, and sometimes it doesn't, but the medication is there. And I'm just trying to figure out, and this was just my thought process. If you are having a dizzy spell or you are lightheaded or something is happening as far as your upper head is concerned, which we need this thing to move about, what makes it okay to think that a medication, a pill, is going to balance out what's happening? To me, and this is just my personal opinion, that particular pill, it's just going to give me a band-aid, because whatever the root cause of the problem is, I'm not getting to that because I'm still having this problem of dizziness, lightheadedness, and I don't know what it is. And so when I went to the doctor, this was years ago. I mean, years ago. I think this was like in 2000, and I want to say maybe 7 or 8, 2007, 2008. And I lived in South Carolina at the time. And I remember being home, and the craziest thing, I was just sitting on my bed, right? And I'm sitting on my bed. I'm in my bedroom. I'm watching, I think I was watching some type of movie. I'm not sure what I was watching. But then on my plate, I remember my plate, I had a couple of carrots, and I had a little bit of tuna. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to start eating more healthier. I want to be more healthier. I got to, fix the way I eat. I'm going to eat more healthier. So I'll have some carrots and I'll have some tuna. And as I was sitting there, I just started to get dizzy. Like I wasn't doing anything but sitting there. But the reality of it was my mind was thinking about things, and it's probably what triggered me to get dizzy. But I went to the doctor. I remember my brother taking me to the doctor, and because I couldn't drown myself and I had to get down to this doctor. And so in South Carolina, I'm just like, okay, I don't know how this thing works. I've never lived down here before, but all I know is I don't want to have this happen to me again. And so I went to the doctor, and they, did all these tests, ran my blood, and then they come back with, oh, you have vertigo. Never in a million years have I ever been diagnosed with that. And so I'm like, okay, well, what is that? Well, it's just the spinning of the room. And sometimes it's an imbalance of the earlobe, something in your ear. It's like a little marble. So they explained it this way. It's a little marble in your ear. And once that little marble gets out of whack or goes out of track, it causes you to have an imbalance. So how does that happen if I'm not doing anything to have that happen? Oh, well, sometimes, you do things and you don't realize you're doing them. If I'm sitting on my bed, now this is when critical thinking comes into play. If I'm sitting on my bed and I'm eating carrots and I'm eating tuna and I'm not doing anything but just watching a movie, and I'm just probably thinking here and there, because of course we all think, right? Brain still goes and brain still thinks about things. But you're going to tell me that I have vertigo. And so for a long time, I believed that those doctors were right. And they gave me these pills. I got the prescription filled. They gave me a prescription. I got the prescription filled. And then I started to take it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this. But I really don't feel good taking it. And so I stopped taking it. And I still was like a little woozy kind of, for like a couple of days. But then it went away. And it just dawned on me, like in 2007, that wasn't something that was the normal for me. But it took me to critically think about, why would I take this pill if I didn't do anything to cause something like this to happen? That's what I thought, right? So fast forward a couple of years back, and now we're in the COVID situation, right? And a couple of years forward, we're in COVID. And me and my husband, we started this healthy journey in 2014. That's when we actually started to be more healthier. We wanted to be healthy. We wanted to do something great for ourselves, and we wanted to stop all this crazy stuff that was going on. Like, I was at 240 pounds at the time. And then, that was a flip flop, and I kept going back and forth. And I eventually scaled all the way up to 270 pounds. And that was a hot mess, because clearly I was like out of control and out of shape and out of everything, right? But as I was going through that process, and I was exercising one day, right? I was exercising, and now might I add, I had already been in the journey of healthy, right? I was learning how to eat. I still was eating meat. I still was eating cheese. I still was eating those things, but I was thinking in my mind, I'm eating more healthier. So that's better for me, right? And so as I went through that process, I'm doing all the things, and I'm going and processing how I want to go. And I started to exercise. It was one morning I was exercising, and my husband was home, and I'm so glad that he was home that day, because I had got dizzy again, right? And I was like, oh no, oh, wait a minute, hold up. And so I called my husband. I'm like, babe, I got dizzy, and blah, blah, blah. So he's like, okay, well, let's call the doctor and let's just take you to the doctor. So I get to the doctor. And this doctor, she was very nice. She was very nice. And then she again diagnosed me with vertigo. And she said, your inner ear, it goes out of place. It's a little marble, the same spill. It's a little marble, and it goes out of place. And when it goes out of place, it makes you a little woozy. And so I was like, wow, okay, so she's saying the same thing. Okay. She's like, but it's a quick fix. It's an easy fix. I'm going to give you these vertigo head exercises, and we're going to do these head exercises. And I'm going to do one right now with you in the office. And when you go home, you just do this. So in my mind, I'm thinking, do you think I'm crazy? Do you really think that I'm going to go home and turn my head certain ways to make me feel dizzy? Absolutely not. And so she did and I was like, and she's like, it's okay. Let it sit. It's got to go back in place. Let it sit. And I'm just like, something's seriously wrong here. This cannot be my life. And so as I started to research, and I started to look into things, and I started to think about things, and I was like, I wonder why that keep happening to me, because I don't do a lot of crazy stuff. But it never dawned on me that it could be the food, it could be my diet, it could be the way that I'm eating, it could be those things that correlate to my plate that I'm not looking at, right? And so fast forward again. Now that was in like 2020, maybe 2021 again, right? So now I have this overwhelming feeling of my body's in a state of panic all the time. And it's not like it's panicking where so I'm like, I can't breathe, I can't get myself together. It's more so in a state where so I feel nervous all the time, and it's never comfortable. It's always uncomfortable, and I'm never comfortable, right? And so I goes to my doctor. I goes to see my doctor. Now this was in 2022, I believe. I think this was in was this 2022, babe? It's 2022, right? And so I go to my doctor, and between 2021 and 2022, that's around that time, 2021, 2022. I goes to my doctor, and I'm telling her I have a feeling of nervousness all the time. I can't sleep. I wake up and my heart is racing, not even knowing what is happening to me. And I don't even understand why these things are going on. But I'm waking up, I'm in a panic all the time. Things are just out of control. I can't get sleep. It was just terrible, right? I wake up, I wake my husband, baby, something's wrong. And he's like, okay. What's going on? And he's jumping up. And I mean, the bedroom was in a state of chaotic because I am in a state of distress, right? And so I go to my doctor, and I'm talking to her, and I'm expressing to her what it is. And the beautiful thing about this doctor, which was a new doctor, she basically said to me, you might have anxiety. And I can give you a prescription. And when she said, I said, wait a minute. I have anxiety, but what is that? And she's like, oh, it's just your body's just, your mind and your body isn't coinciding together. It's some things that's a little off, but we can get you back on track. I can write you this prescription. And I think it was Xanax, I think it was Xanax that she wanted to prescribe me. And I was just like, so critical thinking came in again, right? And I said, question, how did it come on? And she was like, well, it came on naturally. That's all I needed to hear. And so if it came on naturally, oh, it can leave naturally? She said, yes, but a lot of people, sometimes it doesn't work that way. They need this medication and this and that. And so I took the prescription. I goes back to the car, and my husband's waiting for me, and I tell him, I said, well, my doctor prescribed me Xanax. And he's like, you taking that? I'm like, I'm not taking anything because I just wanted to stop. I needed to stop. I want this to just go away. And so throughout the process of me going through vertigo, going through panic attacks. You ever had a panic attack on the road? I was on the road and I had a full-fledged panic attack. I was driving down the road, never even knew what this stuff was. Driving down the road, I'm going to my husband's job, and it's raining outside. I'm just leaving my job, and I'm going to his job, and all of a sudden, I get dizzy. My heart is racing. I am in a full-fledged, I need help. I need a doctor type of brain setting. I'm driving a motor vehicle on the road with people. And I am trying to understand what the heck is happening and why can't I get this right? And how to stop it. Because I'm in a panic. And so it's raining, I'm in a panic, and I'm still having this panic attack. I'm behind the wheel. I can't pull over. There are cars on this side. I cannot pull over. I'm in the middle lane. It is terrible. And the only thing I can do is just try my best to keep going forward without having to run into somebody, right? And so I finally gets out where the road is open, and I'm calming down, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like going through, I'm still driving. I get to my husband's job and I just bust out crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened to me. And he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Calm down, calm down. I think I tried to call him while I was on the road having a panic attack. I don't know what was happening, but all I knew was that I was on this road having a full-fledged panic attack, right? And so these are the things that was happening to me as the years kept going. But it never correlated to me that it was my food that I was truly eating, because in my mind, I thought I was eating the healthiest I could ever eat. I mean, I was eating cheese, just a serving of cheese as they prescribe, as they say you're supposed to eat. I ate chicken. I ate the leanest of meats. I ate turkey. I ate turkey bacon. I didn't eat red meat. I wasn't eating steak. I wasn't eating pork. I wasn't doing any of those things. I was trying to eat the healthiest that I could possibly eat, and at the same time think that this was what it was doing. Like, this is what I was going to do. Long and behold, as I was starting to go through life and these things were affecting me mentally, emotionally, physically, I was being affected. And it was so bad that I just knew that I was going to die, right? And I kept telling my husband, like, trying to make arrangements, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I'm going to die, and I know I'm going to be hooked up to some tubes, and something's going to happen to me, and I need you to make sure the kids are going to be taken care of, and I need you to keep all the kids together, and I'm just going through a whole spill, right? Don't let anybody go anywhere else, and keep all the kids together, and he's just like, what are you talking about? And he's looking at me like, what's wrong? What is wrong with my wife? As my mind had taken full control over my entire existence. And that's when I knew I needed help. So fast forward again to 2022. Now, this was the last known incident, and I had to fix it. After this incident, something had to happen. I was exercising. I did an exercise that morning. I went to work the next day. I was eating terrible. I think I was trying to eat healthy. I was still eating meat, and I was still eating as best as I could. I was eating yogurts and apples and oranges and bananas and a little bit of vegetables. I was trying my best in my mind. I thought I was giving. I was the crumb of the crumb. I was hitting right in my mind. And so the next day I goes to work. 2022. Now, that incident that happened with me in 2021 is when I had the full-fledged panic attack. 2022, I'm at work, and it was like I think it was like morning time, afternoon time. What was it supposed to be? Afternoon time, morning time, around that time. And I go to the ladies' room. I come back, and there is this excruciating pain. The pain is so excruciating that I am bent over. Like, I'm humped. I'm holding myself. I'm bent over, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? So my stomach is in a state of, it's not working. And so in my mind, I'm like, only thing I did was eat the kale. I just ate a kale salad, and I had some yogurt, and I had some cheese. And in my mind, I'm like, I ate so healthy today. What's wrong? And so the brain didn't go to, we're going to make her dizzy. The brain went, we're going to go with her stomach. Okay. And so I called my husband, and I'm like, babe, you got to come get me. And so he leaves work, and he comes to get me. I tell my boss, I got to go. She's like, oh, Yulonda, I hope you feel better. I hope everything works out. Keep me posted. And I'm like, me too, because I don't know what's wrong with me. So I go to the hospital, and because I wasn't bleeding internally, I wasn't foaming from the mouth, there was no blood showing. I was waiting in the waiting room, waiting in the waiting room, waiting in the waiting room, waiting in the waiting room. And so eventually they calls me to the back, and I'm like, this is what's going on, and my stomach, and it's the pain, and I can't, and they're like, okay, well, we need you to go take a urine test. You want to say something, babe?
This was during COVID.
Yeah.
It was in 2020.
Oh, 2020.
I wasn't in there with you.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm getting to that. Okay, so this was 2020, not 2022. Correction, 2020. Okay, so the other incident was in 2022 when I had went to the doctor. She wanted to give me Xanax.
Yeah,
That was 2022. That was the last incident. Okay, that was the last incident.
It was COVID too.
COVID,
and
yeah,
the
all
Hunchback
and the Hunchback.
and riding down Liberty Road and all that stuff.
Right. Okay. So 2020 is when my husband is saying this incident happened. This was prior to the panic attack. This was after the panic attack. Because these things started to go into place and after the panic attack. Okay, so after the panic attack, then this incident, right? So the last straw was me going to the doctor and, she wanted to give me Xanax for that vertigo that they kept saying I had. No, she wanted to give me Xanax for anxiety. Right, she wanted to give me Xanax for anxiety. So I go to the doctor. Got to get this story right because I want y'all to understand what Coach was going through in these moments of her life, okay? And my husband was with me on the ride. That's a good man. What they say, that's a good man. He's a good man, Savannah, right? And wait, exhale. So my husband was with me through the ride. He was neck and neck. He was right there by his crazy, foolish wife. Riding the wave with his wife, right? And so as I'm going through, I get to the doctor and they're telling me, and I'm just telling them, my stomach and this and that. So they're like, okay, we're going to give you this pill. Take this pill and that's going to calm down the pain and we're going to put you in a room. And so because it was COVID, my husband wasn't able to come with me inside. People couldn't come inside the hospitals. Their loved ones had to stay outside because it was only people that was being seen and could be treated, could be in the hospital. And if you weren't being seen and couldn't be treated, you couldn't come in. You guys remember around that time, right? That was like loved ones couldn't be with their loved ones. It was really, really terrible because you didn't know what was happening with your loved one inside that hospital, right? Especially if they weren't able to communicate with you what was happening. And luckily for me, not even luckily for me, but by the grace of my God, I was able to still be alert and communicate with my husband through my phone, text messaging to tell him what was happening, right? So if he needed to come and be Superman and save a sister, he was coming up in. He didn't care what was happening, right? And so they gave me this pill, and the crazy thing about it is this pill just stopped the pain. But when I took that pill and I went in that room and I'm laying in that bed and I'm just like, I wonder if that was a placebo pill. You know how they give you pills to make you think that it's going to help you and it's really just a fake pill. Ain't nothing wrong. It's just like probably an aspirin or a Tylenol and that's just it. And they making it seem like it's this big good pill and this pill going to stop all your pain. And they just giving you an aspirin or a Tylenol, but it doesn't have aspirin or Tylenol written on it, right? That's what it was for me, right? And so that's what I was thinking of when I was laying in that hospital bed. And so they took me and do all these tests. They did a liver test. They did a stomach test. They did all this stuff. They took my blood. And so I'm waiting hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And the great thing about this is that the husband that I have is an amazing man. And the reason he's an amazing man is because my husband sat in that parking garage the entire time. For 2 days, he was in that parking garage and he never left my side. Even though he couldn't be in the hospital with me.
Straight from work.
He would come and he wouldn't leave. It was like he just wanted to be there because he needed to know what was going on with his wife. And that's true, pure love. That is the epiphany of I'm loving on this person and it doesn't matter what's going on. This is the kind of person I want in my life. Like, this is the love that God wants us all to have. But that's a whole nother story, okay? But back to the hospital. Now, they give me all these tests. My husband's out there in the parking garage, and he's paying for parking. He's not just sitting there. He's paying for parking. And them parking garages, they will charge you an arm, a leg, and a thigh because you're in their facility, right? And so I'm in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know what's going on. But now the pain is gone, right? And so the doctor comes in after all these tests. And this was the craziest thing that she said to me. She said, you okay now? I said, I'm fine. She said, explain to me what happened. So I'm telling her what happened. And she says, well, you know what's the sad thing about being a doctor? And I said, what, when patients die or something, because you probably get attached to them or you're trying to save a life. She said, no, that's sad too, but that's not the saddest thing. I said, well, what's the saddest thing? Giving a patient bad news? She said, yeah, that's sad. That's real sad too, but that's not the saddest thing. And I said, well, what could possibly be sadder than a patient dying or giving out bad news?
And your mind, you like, what did she tell me?
And in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's she about to tell me? Because I don't know what could be sadder than those two things. And so she says, when you look your patient in the eye and you tell your patient, you don't know what's wrong with them. You can't find anything. All the blood work looks good. All the tests look good. There is nothing coming up, nothing wrong. And so I'm laying in that bed and I am feeling hopeless because if you don't know what's wrong with me, what's wrong? Why am I going through these emotional states? Why is my brain at 1,000 and I'm always anxious? Why am I having panic attacks? Why am I having vertigo? So you guys call it. What is wrong with me? And she said, I don't know. She said, I don't know. And I'm so sorry. I cannot give you any help. I don't know. She said, but I'm going to prescribe you this pill. This was the craziest thing. This is the pill I'm going to give you. And you take it if you feel something happening. So in my mind, I'm laying on this hospital bed, helpless and hopeless. You don't know what's wrong with me. You have no clue. My blood work is good. Everything shows great. But it's still, you don't know. You have no idea. But you're going to give me a pill just in case. What's that song? Just in case I don't make it home tonight. I'm like, you're just going to give me a pill. And so I take it. I take the prescription. I get dressed. I text my husband. I'm like, I'm on my way out. I mean, my husband was at that door. He held me so tight. I felt the love. I felt wanted and needed. I felt like he was relieved and happy that his wife walked out the hospital. And we even started crying because I missed him. He missed me.
Like a reunion.
It was like a reunion.
2 days.
2 days. And they
like
couldn't find nothing wrong with me, right? And so that's when I had the last episode and I went to my doctor and she prescribed Xanax. Then out of all the chaos, I went to get a therapist. I said I needed some help. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe I'm losing my mind. And
so I was like you was in a state of fight or flight.
Yeah, I was always in a state of fight or flight. I never was comfortable. I never was, even the interaction that if I tried to have with my husband, my brain he was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. He worrying about me. He can't get his rocks off. It's terrible, right? But that's what it was. It was terrible. Because he's so worried about me, he can't focus. And I can't focus on loving on him because I'm worried about what's wrong with me. So it was like, I'm sorry, babe, I dropped that's okay. I dropped the phone case. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a therapy. I'm going to therapy. They say black folk don't never want to get no help because we ain't think nothing wrong. And, back in the day, ain't nothing wrong with you. Get yourself together. That's how we was raised, right? But especially if you one of them 70s babies like I am. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to get me some help. I'm going to get me some help. I'm going to get me some help. And I'm going to find out what's wrong with me because this doctor going to tell me something. Somebody going to tell me something. So I goes and I see a therapist. And, I'm having my sessions. And the great thing about therapy is that you get to talk about things. You just get to talk. And I talks my husband head off. I talks, okay?
All the time.
All the time. I talks and talks and talks and talks. And when I'm not talking, he like, what's wrong? Because I'm always talking. But I go to therapy, and as I'm speaking with the therapist, I'm telling her my issues. I'm telling her what's going on. I'm telling her, all the things that's been happening to me. And she says, well, I'm going to diagnose you with anxiety. She said, but the great thing is you don't have it as a real bad case. She said, your anxiety happens, and I get this, when things are out of your control. When you have things going on and you cannot control them. So if you're sitting in traffic and you want to go over to the left and you want to go over to the right and you can't get over because there are so many cars, your brain will go into a state of panic. If you are thinking about something constantly and constantly and constantly thinking about it, your brain will go into a panic. If you think that you're going to get dizzy, your brain will get dizzy. You will feel dizzy. So these are the things that are out of your control, some of them, but some things you are able to control, but it's just you. She said it's just you. She said you don't need medication for this. You just need to talk about what's happening at those times. And I said, okay. So when she said that to me and I took it all in, I said, I got to do some more research. So I started to look at the foods I was eating, the meat I was eating. And so I'm just going to tell you this one little piece, and I'm going to wrap this up, okay? Here's a little piece. And throughout all my research and throughout everything that I went through and everything I experienced, which today I'm so thankful I don't have anxiety to the fullest. I do sometimes get a little anxious, but I've controlled it because it's mind over the matter, right? And so I've learned how to control my thoughts. I've learned how to control my actions. I've learned how to control the words I speak. I've learned how to control what I watch, what I don't watch. I've learned how to control what I listen to, what I'm not listening to, because these things will trigger. And you have to know your triggers. Because once it happens, it's not to say that it's going to be gone forever, but you know your triggers and you stay away from things that will trigger those states, right? And so what I've learned is that, first of all, when I ate the meat, which I'm so thankful I don't do that anymore. I'm so thankful that I've learned to eat more abundantly, fruitfully, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds. I mean, potatoes, sweet potatoes, chickpeas. I mean, I just eat abundantly and I can eat so much and feel so fulfilling and never weigh down. But that's a whole nother situation. The point I want to make to you is just think about this. When you are eating your meat, you don't know how it got there, right? Because you don't know what the process was. We don't never know what the process is. But what I do know is when I think about the way that the chicken is going to be dealt with, right? First of all, the chicken is going to be with other chickens. And it's going to see, because it's alive, it's going to see their other counterpart die before them. It's going to see a head be cut off. It's going to look at that and see, right? And not only look at that and see, but the one that it's happening to, the adrenaline, the emotional state that piece of chicken, that chicken is in, all of that fear, all of that emotion that chicken is in, because God created us all, honey, and we all are emotional creatures. Every last one of us, down to the dogs, down to the turtles, to the ducks, to the fish in the sea. We're all emotional creatures. Women are really emotional creatures. Men are emotional creatures as well, okay? But all that emotion that comes along and that goes through that particular chicken, that all that, and then that chicken goes through the process of dying with all that adrenaline, with all that fear, because it's going to die, because it's going to happen, because people want chicken on the plate, right? And you take that chicken home that's from the supermarket, or you go to a restaurant and you order chicken, and you're eating that chicken. I realized I'm eating the fear. I'm eating the anxiety that chicken went through. I'm eating all of that chicken's emotion. And so if that chicken went through all of that, and now I'm going through, right? I'm having problems. I'm going through. And I never correlated this until I did a lot of research. A lot of research goes into being your own advocate for your own health. And I go through that process. I understand that the only thing I can control, as my therapist told me, is me. I can control what I eat. I can control what I cook. I can control what I watch. I can control what I listen to. I can control the people I surround myself with. I can control the words I speak to myself. I can control the environment that I am putting myself in. I can control a lot of things that I am able to have full access to. And so I took the initiative to control my plates. And I want you to understand that every single thing that you eat has a cause and an effect on your body. If you are going through a lot of anxiety and depression and emotional states of being, you have to not only look at, yes, you can look at your your upbringing, you can look at your DNA line, you can look at all of that. But the reality of it is that you can't control all of that because that was your past. You can't control who your parents are because you're already here. You can't control the line of ancestry because it's already happened. What you can control is you and how you deal with your own personal health. You can control how you deal with your own personal state of being. And you can control every single thing you do every single day for your own emotional state. And when I learned that I could do that, when I took the initiative, everything started to fall into place. You have to think about the most craziest things that's happening in your life, why they're happening, and what you can do to stop them or to seize that. Now, like I said, I'm not going to be anxiety free all the time, right? But my anxiety went from 2000 to now a 0.1. So when I feel it coming on, I control the thoughts. I control to say to myself, no, we're not doing that, because I can control me. You have to think about your food is a direct correlation of your health. If you're on a lot of medication, if you're going through a lot of sickness, if you're seeing a doctor every 2 months, every 3 months, every 6 months, that is an indication that it has to be the food that you're eating. Now, if you're eating at your best and you're eating at your peakest and you're moving your body every day and you're exercising and you're doing all the right things and you still are having these issues, then yes, you may be a different cause that you may need medication. You may need something to help you. But I know for me, and I can only speak for me, what I went through was my brain going through an emotional state. And that was because COVID hit, and that was a full-fledged emotional situation that I was not able to control. I couldn't control people dying. I couldn't control people not getting sick. I couldn't control any of those things. And the fear I kept instilling in myself because I was watching the news all day. I was listening for the updates. I wanted to know how many people died today. I needed to know where was that now. I needed to know who had got infected. The negative of all of that I put into me spilled out into reality. And so what you think about, what you look at, what you listen to, the people you surround yourself with will become your reality. It will become your truth. And when you change the narrative, you change your thought process, you change your plate, this is what happens. I became vegan because I wanted my body to be at its best. I stopped all of the negative entities that was around me just coming at me all the time. I stopped hanging around negative people who talked about other people all the time. I stopped hanging around people that didn't want nothing out of life, that just wanted to just party all the time. I stopped looking at movies about gore, blood, shooting and killing, because that's not it. That wasn't working for me. So now I watch movies that's funny. I watch alligator movies. I like alligator movies. I don't know what that is. I like watching, movies that are good and entertaining and just gives you a little bit of edge, but not take you over the edge, right? You gotta think about what it is that you're putting in your mind, because this thing is the crumb of the crumb. When it's off, when it's not working, when it's off balance, it's because of the things that you're putting inside. So be mindful. Understand that you can control you, and you're the only one who can control you. This is Coach, and thank you so much for tuning in to Coach TV. Thank you again for listening to my videos and to taking the knowledge and taking the gems that I drop to you every single day, because there is something that I'm giving you that you have to take from the video. It's the reason for me to be on this platform, to give you the knowledge, to give you the information, so that you can take a full-fledged look at your life and see what things you need to start to change, what things you need to start to do differently in your life. If you like this video, please do like it. If you subscribe, definitely subscribe to the community, because I'm here and I want to make sure that I'm giving you the best content ever. If you also think that this information is helpful to someone, please do share it with others, because there could be someone going through anxiety that's really bad and don't even understand that it's the food and it's what they're listening to and it's what they're watching and the people that are surrounding themselves with. This stuff really plays a major impact in your life. And when you understand that, you start to do better and you want better and your life becomes better. Thank you again for watching Coach TV, and I will talk to you on the next video. Peace.